So I hope that you guys are having a great Sunday, and now it's into the evening. I hope you enjoyed the time with your families and church. So we're going to get into the message. So I'm going to kind of recap the message, and we're going to invite some students along and kind of talk about the message further. So we're going to invite our student leaders here in just a sec. But every Sunday, if you didn't know yet, we go live with one of our student pastors and some students, and we talk about our message on Sundays at 7 p.m. And so we encourage everybody to watch the 10 a.m. Service with their family or friends, and then we can dive into it deeper. So let's recap the message real quickly. So Pastor Jeremy, he titled his message, The Bubble of Illusion. And so Pastor Jeremy, he opened up his message sharing that his family had been watching all of the Lord of the Rings movies, which gets me super excited because I've done many a times where I've watched all of them in one sitting. That is a whole day's worth, so I absolutely love that. That's awesome. And he shared a couple quotes from a conversation that Frodo has with Gandalf as he's carrying the burden of the ring. So Frodo says, "I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened." Gandalf replies, "So do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." So I thought this was a great connection to how we might all be feeling right now. And we have to ask ourselves, what do we do with the time that is given to us? Because we're all kind of cooped up and we have a lot of time on our hands. So our bubble is probably about to burst, or has probably already burst in what is our normal reality, or it may not be happening to us just yet. So Pastor Jeremy, he shared a verse from Psalm 137, and that's when Jerusalem is destroyed by the Babylonians. So it must be a super hard time for the Israelites right now. And you find that in the Old Testament. And so in this verse, we find how the Israelites responded to this time of defeat, and it was a time of great sadness. In verse 2, it says, "We put away our harps." So why did they put away their harps? Because grieving requires a change of behavior. It's a bizarre time with bizarre feelings that maybe you've never had before. Because it's important for us to hang up our harps in this bizarre time. And there's grief that we've never had before. And so we need to allow ourselves to have a new perspective, and one that we never usually would have had. So sometimes when things get hard, we try everything we can to numb the pain away. Pastor Jeremy talked about addictions that people might have, including like pornography or other things. There's so many other ways that people numb the pain, and I think we're all prone to that tendency. I love that Pastor Jeremy, he challenged us to grieve the pain with Jesus instead. So not grieving it alone, but with Jesus. People did this multiple times in the Bible, and we find that in Job. Jonah did it, and surely the Israelites in this psalm that Pastor Jeremy read from today. So it's not common to spend time processing grief or hard things that happen to us. But what would happen if we didn't quickly move on from that, and we didn't try to ignore the pain? It's weird to think I'm going to sit with Jesus right now and I'm going to name off my grief one by one, get it out there, and experience the pain on a new level, to experience healing. But it's true. See, our pain, it takes on a purpose when we give it to God. See, healing requires a depth of grieving. We need to allow ourselves to grieve right now with Jesus. We need to give ourselves permission and make the time, or we could lose a huge opportunity to heal and to come out of this way better than we did, and come out closer to Jesus more than ever, instead of numbing the pain away and pushing the pain deeper and deeper down. It's also important that we do this in a safe manner. And we're going to talk about more of that in our questions, because it's super important to dive into that. So right now, I'm going to invite one of the student leaders up with me. So you have to give me just a sec as I send this off here. So right now, we're going to invite Benjamin Johnson, up to talk with us. He's our. Why don't you tell us what you're over in our student ministries?
I am a stage leader at the Sandy ALC students.
Whoop whoop! Sandy strong.
Great job.
All right. So, Ben, thanks for joining us and being willing to talk about some of this stuff at a deeper level.
Yes, sir.
Super awesome that you're willing to be vulnerable with all of us. So, in the light of the things that I just recapped for us from this morning's message, what is your natural response when things get hard?
I kind of think for me it's close to basically shutting down and not really talking to anyone about it, keeping it as my problem, because the way I feel, it's like it is my problem and there's so many other people going through harder times. So why would I trouble other people with talking about it when a lot of other people are going through harder times? So that's kind of my immediate response, is to just kind of shove it deep down and not talk about it.
Why do you think that is, that your natural reaction is to kind of ignore it and kind of put it down deeper?
Yeah, I think the reason for that is basically how I explained that I kind of feel like it's almost selfish of me to explain my problems and kind of ask for help when so many other people will need problems, I guess. So yeah, I guess that would be why.
Okay. Well, that's a great answer. Thank you for your vulnerability. I'm going to switch over. I'll come back to you here in a little bit. I'm going to switch over to Cameron and ask her about this. So we'll see you in a sec. All right. So Cameron's going to come up here. She's one of our student leaders. I'll let her introduce herself as she up here.
Hey, Dustin, really quick.
Yeah.
Okay. People are texting me that it ended, so I'm just gonna text Julia back really quick and just say that try to rejoin.
Oh, I saw she commented she is back.
Oh, she's back? Okay, cool. All right.
I do apologize to everybody if the feed went down. It hasn't gone down on my end, so I don't know if the Wi-Fi spotted out for a sec. So I do apologize about that.
All right, sorry. Okay.
Don't worry.
So hi, I'm good. For everyone who doesn't know, I'm a outreach leader and a first impressions leader at Happy Valley campus. I almost said Sandy for some reason, but I'm at Happy Valley. So
nice. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
On. Thanks for joining us and being willing to kind of talk through the message and dive into it deeper. So as I had just talked with Ben, I kind of asked him, when things are going wrong and things are just kind of weird and stuff like that, what do you think your natural reaction when the times get rough?
I would say my natural reaction is just to, I'm like Ben, I just kind of shut down, except my instinct is to listen to music. I have a really deep connection with music, and it just, I typically just like will lay on the floor, zone out, and listen to music and just let, sad music just portray my feelings because I don't know how. And I just will just kind of zone out and let the music encompass me. And I listen to a lot of Led Zeppelin, specifically Stairway to Heaven, because it connects me with my uncle who is passed. So I tend to just let music bring everything out and me soak up all of the feelings and just that zone out. That is typically my way to feel everything. Yeah.
Very nice. I understand what you mean. I dive deep in. We just had a comment in the bottom says music, worship music is the way to go.
Yeah.
I know when I shut down, I always turn on like music and especially worship music, and I really get into it. So I understand that.
Oh yeah.
Music can just take you places. So.
Oh yeah, and I need to work on listening to worship music and not music that's going to bring me more sad, but music that is going to show me the love of Jesus, which I'm working on. So yeah.
No worries. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and invite Julia on real quick.
Awesome. I fell. All right. Cool.
All right. Flipping between here, I am inviting Julia up here. All right, everybody, welcome Julia up for me. Let's wait for her to join.
Oh. That's a candle. Here I am.
Welcome. Introduce yourself to those that are watching in the role that you play in student ministries.
I'm Julia, and I'm on the involvement team at Happy Valley SLT at Happy Valley campus. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us and being willing to be vulnerable and talk about this and kind of help walk people through that may be watching. So as I asked Cameron and I asked Ben, when times are rough and things are kind of going crazy, what's your natural response in that? How do you respond to the hard times?
I usually have noticed that I kind of go numb. I kind of just shut down and push all the feelings really far down. And I've kind of noticed that I tend to isolate myself. I kind of push the people that I love away from me. And I have realized that that's because I don't really want to drag them down with me. I have been like a person for my friends to confide in a lot of the time. Usually people come to me with like their issues, and I just know that how heavily that can weigh on someone sometimes, and I just don't want to be that person for anyone else. And living through my life, I've kind of realized that people can be going through a ton of stuff but never open up about it, so you never really know what people are going through at any time. And even if I'm going through something, I don't want to be the person to make something that somebody else is going through a lot worse because of sharing my own pain.
I definitely feel you there. I think sometimes when I'm like complaining or something like that, some people I feel like, oh wait, I know somebody else's situation. So I think we all feel a bit about that. And I totally agree with you on what you said first. I think my natural reaction too is when things are going rough, I kind of just like numb it away. I put it away, put it in a box, put it deep down and forget about it. I guess in my mind, if I can put things away and forget about it, it's not there, so I don't have to deal with it. So I'm right there with you. So thank you for being vulnerable there. My next question for you, what are some things that you're grieving right now? Like, what are you missing out on? What's going on?
I have missed out. I just miss being with community, like the sense of community that I used to have with all of my friends and family. I'm a really like family-oriented person, so I spend a lot of my free time just like quality time with my family and friends, and having that taken away from me has been really difficult. And I have a really strong connection with my Nana and Papa, who are down at a cabin that's 3 hours away, and we usually visit them, or they come and visit us like every weekend, and we haven't been able to do that in this time of like quarantine. So that's been really difficult. And just not being able to see the friends that I love so much at school, and just school friends and even teachers, like just that sense of community. And I had a really big vacation I was going to go on with my Nana and Papa that was going to be kind of our last like really big vacation because of just their health and stuff like that. And we've been planning it for like a year, and we had to cancel that. So that's been really hard to miss out on.
Sorry you're missing out on that. It's definitely a weird, strange time for us. So in the midst of the things that you're grieving, that you're feeling down about, have you taken some set apart time to acknowledge that pain, that grieving, and name it out with Jesus?
Personally, I haven't really set apart that time because I've just been so focused on like I'm a really person that I really like schedules, and it's kind of been hard because everybody's schedule is just changing all the time, and I get really stressed out and anxious about that. And I've just been so surrounded by that, and I haven't really taken the time to cool down and just kind of be vulnerable there and name out what I'm dealing with, because I also think about other people and like the hardships they're going through, and I feel kind of selfish just naming out my own when people are going through probably much harder stuff than I am. So yeah.
Well, thank you for your vulnerability. So I definitely think there's people out there that are gonna feel what you're feeling, and definitely this is some encouragement for them. So I thank you for your vulnerability. I'm gonna go ahead and invite Cameron up here real quick. All right, guys, let's welcome back Cameron. So we're waiting for her to join back, and then we'll go over the same question.
I am back.
Welcome back. Like with Julia, I asked about some things that she's grieving right now. Like what's going on in your world? What are some things that you're missing out on?
I would say, like Julia, I'm also a very family-oriented person, but I think for me, I'm also a very friend-oriented person. I tend to consider my friends my family, and I've been dealing with a lot of friend hardships and connections with friends being strained because I've tend to been a hermit lately because I go to a different school where I don't really have school all day and don't have any classes with friends. So it's like I've just been grieving a lot of friendships that I haven't been able to really fully process and deal with, and just there are some friends that are a little mad at me for a lot of different reasons, and it's hard for me to just process that and be a healthy person, I guess. So yeah, I'm just grieving with that.
Have you already done this, or maybe thought about taking some time in acknowledging that pain, and then like naming out what's at the problem with that and taking that to Jesus?
You know, it's kind of complicated because I have been in the moment of like me feeling so frustrated and down. I've been like, you know, Jesus, I understand this is a problem. Like, why aren't you helping me in kind of a way? Or like, can you help me figure out this problem? But I haven't sat down and been like, I guess I haven't really sat down and been like, Jesus, this is my problem. And can you actually, you know, it's just been more of like a fit of hurt and anger, and been like, why aren't you helping me, when that shouldn't be a reaction? Or my reaction should be, okay, I'm going to sit down when I'm not upset and I'm not in a state of anger, and I should figure this out with Jesus. So I have not fully processed with it yet.
Thank you for your vulnerability. I think me too. I'm a people person, family person, just with all of you guys. And like I said, I think I've kind of put things in a box, and as it hasn't come to reality to me yet. So I feel too, I probably haven't gone to Jesus with some things that I need to grieve. So I think we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Go ahead, and I'm going to switch over. I'm going to invite Ben up for us.
Awesome.
All right, so I just sent the invite to Ben. Welcome back,
Hello.
Ben.
Hello.
So right now, as you kind of think, what do you think might happen if you allowed yourself to feel the pain of the things that you grieve and safely process those things with Jesus?
Well, I think it would help a lot more for sure. There's no doubt about that. I guess I haven't done that much recently with all the things that have been going on, but it would help a lot for sure, and I definitely should try to do that, and get closer with Jesus in that too. I have more time now, so that should be a part of it. But yeah, I think it would help a lot.
Do you think, and maybe this plays into like I said, I too, there's some things that I probably haven't processed through yet. Do you feel like maybe there's some things that you're not allowed to grieve as a Christian, and maybe that plays into that as well?
Yeah, so along with the thing I said earlier about the whole sharing things with other people because of maybe feeling like other people had bigger problems, uh, especially in the church world, kind of. Um, I feel like people kind of go to Jesus a lot and not really share it with other people. So that's kind of what I try to do. Uh, but yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Ben.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask Julie back up here in just a sec. Thank you for your vulnerability there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to invite Julia back up here. Now, sorry, let me switch over here and invite her back up. Sorry, I'm going to invite Cameron Kane up real quick here. Julia, if you could send me a request to be in the live stream, that would help me so much. So Pastor Jeremy, he shared with us this morning that healing requires a depth of grieving. And sometimes it feels like our pain is way more intense before we find that healing. So we need to make sure that after we process our feelings, we process what we're grieving, that we grieve that in a safe manner. So Cameron, what do you think are some safe ways that we can grieve with Jesus?
Well, I'm just going to start off by saying, I haven't had the best relationship with Jesus. I'm kind of a baby in my faith. I'm only 4 years old technically. And there's been a lot of times that I haven't safely grieved with Jesus. And one of those times, I was self-harming myself. I had, I was just really eating disorder, just wasn't taking care of my body, just so in this depth of depression and not being able to focus on anything. But one night I texted my friend and said, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need help, I'm going to hurt myself. And she broke her 6 months and picked me up and just helped me through so much. And she helped me be such a better Jesus follower, and her name's Abby Wex. She used to be a student leader here at Abundant Life last year with me, and she finally got it in my brain. Cameron, you gotta, come on, like, we can do this with Jesus. She's such a strong lady, and I've had so many great mentors. Kendra Hammonds is a great one. Wendy Kerr, so many great people, so many great followers of Jesus who have, and friends like Julia and Audrey, and they've just pushed me like, hey Cameron, you should really get counseling and you should help yourself. And that's been a great way for me to safely grieve with Jesus and just get it out with someone who is trained and can help me. And I know that Jesus put that in my life for a reason. And I've been so against counseling actually for so many years because I'm like, I can deal with it on my own. I can do this on my own. I don't need it. Like Jesus and I, it's Jesus and I. But Jesus and I was like, no, Cameron, I put this here for a reason. And I've been going to counseling for a couple months, and it's been really great. And yeah, it's just Jesus is helping me process through so many great ways. And my story has a lot of hurt, but Jesus is so good. And there's actually a verse that I want to share really quickly. It's Psalm 23, 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And like Jesus is always here, and Jesus is always here. And we tend to think like in our pain and in our suffering, he's not. But he's here to help us grieve. You know, he died a criminal's death so we could live. And it's just so great. And I'm so excited. And even though I have these hardships still, I know that Jesus is with me, and I know that he will forever be with me. And I know that I can always come to him. So yeah, that's just all I have to share.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know there's so many people out there that maybe are feeling a similar story that haven't reached out there, and I know you're an inspiration to them, and shout out to all those leaders that helped her through. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much for your vulnerability, and just being an inspiration for others. So thank you for that.
Thank you. So yeah, also great youth pastors like you guys. So just saying, you guys are awesome. Helped through a lot.
All right. Well, for that, I'm going to go ahead and invite Julia up here.
Awesome.
All right. All right, we're just waiting real quick. There we go. We're back.
Hi.
So as I asked Cameron and we talked about that, definitely with all the hardships that we have, and the things that we're grieving, with trying to process all these things in a safe way, what do you think are some ways that we can do that in a safe manner?
All right. So kind of like Cameron, I'm gonna give some just backstory so I can lead up to my answer. So this past couple of years, I've been through some pretty difficult trials that I haven't really had to deal with like early on in my life. And like an example of that was losing my grandma. I think it was just this last year was the first like real family death that I had to deal with and cope with, and I never really had someone but like a pet. A pet death is different than like an actual family member that I was close with going through that. And I also ended up moving churches to ALC from Rolling Hills, and that was really difficult for me because it ended up being amazing, like the best thing I ever did in my life. But just going through that transition was very hard on me because I am someone who finds it really difficult to make new friends. I struggle with a lot of social anxiety, and so I kind of had to leave all my friends from the old church and go through like this whole change of making new friends at this new church, and I was kind of going into it blind, and that was really hard on me. And I felt really isolated during that time, and I went through an experience this summer that was really, and it led me to develop some PTSD, and having that and just piling on to already having to struggle with my struggles with anxiety and depression, it just felt like the weight of the world was kind of on me. And being someone, like I shared in the very beginning, is like really isolating when I'm going through something difficult and really painful, and I kind of push everyone away. I became really depressed, and this was not something I was going to share, but I just felt God telling me to share this, that I went through a really hard struggle, kind of like Cameron shared, with self-harm, and that's not something that I've opened up to about, like, with anyone, like none of my close friends really. And I hadn't struggled with it since early middle school, and going through that again felt really challenging because I kind of thought that that was in the past, and it obviously wasn't. And I was really isolated and felt like I was going through it all alone. And a few months ago, my friend Audrey talked about in youth group how she was getting counseling, and I had thought about that. It was kind of in the back of my head, but I didn't know if my parents were going to agree if that was the right thing, and I kind of felt like Cameron said I could do it all on my own, and I just realized that wasn't true, and I just felt God pushing me like, hey, bring this up with your parents, and I did. Um, I talked to my doctor about it and got set up with a therapist, and it was probably the best thing I've ever done, just having someone to confide in, and it helped a lot, and I think it's a really great way to safely handle things like that, and I don't want people to be scared to reach out because a lot of the times you feel like you can do it alone, but God wants us to reach out. You know, we were made for community, and being in it alone is really hard. And just opening up to trusted friends and family members helped me a ton. And just being able to talk through things and be held accountable and just taking that first step to open up to people around you and just getting them on your side is very helpful. So, I just want people to know that God is there and He wants us to reach out and He's on our side, and we aren't God, and sometimes we need that help and we can't do it by ourselves sometimes, and that's totally okay. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that those things can't be easy, but because you guys have shown great vulnerability, I hope there's people out there that hear this and that you guys are an inspiration to them to reach out to others and to seek help. And so I just thank you so much for your vulnerability and being an inspiration for others and trying to lead students to be in the best place that they can be. So thank you so much.
Of course, yeah.
All right, well, I will see you around. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah.
So, guys, as you heard from both of those amazing student leaders, some deep stuff. We all need to process our grief in a safe manner with Jesus, and sometimes we cannot do that by ourselves. Sometimes we have to reach out and seek help. So a couple different ways, of course, that they listed off that they sought help. But I wanted to go over that with you guys is reach out to leaders and us student pastors, your friends, and create accountability with each other. You guys can hold each other accountable to being safe and grieving in a good process. Also to seeking professional help. Sometimes we're not all apt to professionally help with counseling, and that's why there are people out there that studied for many, many years to be able to help you process in the correct way. And so definitely seek a counselor if you need to seek a counselor. Talk with your parents and go ahead and do that. Choose, the right time and place to seek people and process. God put people in your life, in our lives, and we need to be able to safely lean into them while we grieve with Jesus. And so if you guys were in life groups last Wednesday, my message I ended with my line, reach out, and I've said it a couple times just a minute ago, but truly, if you guys are depressed, you're in a dark place, maybe you're hurting yourself, or maybe you're thinking about that, or whatever it is, reach out, because we are truly here, and we love you, and we want to just help you process through stuff. So reach out to a friend, reach out to your leaders, your student pastors, parents, professional help. Reach out. And so I just want to let you guys know too, another place that you can reach out is your life groups. If you're not in a life group, please DM us, direct message us here on Instagram, or if you have our phone numbers, reach out to us. We want to get you hooked up into a life group that you can have some community and maybe help alleviate some of that anxiety of being alone and not having anybody to talk to. And so we do those on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So please go ahead, reach out, talk to us, get hooked up in a life group. And then just a reminder, we also do this Sunday night live at 7 o'clock in the p.m. So watch church with your family at 10 a.m. So that can lead you into this message. And then I just want to end with a quote from Jeremy's message last week. He said this. He said, "Jesus thrives in those moments when our backs are against the wall and we acknowledge our dependency on him. We acknowledge that this problem is bigger than us. Jesus thrives in those moments. It's when he does some of his best work." Thank you all for joining us tonight. We dove into some pretty deep stuff, but I hope that you will find time this week to feel all the feels that you need to feel with Jesus and to do that safely so that you can experience healing in the areas that you need to experience healing. So reach out, talk to people, and put some time away in your schedule to be with Jesus and process through some of these things in a safe manner. So thank you guys. Can't wait to see you guys on Wednesday and next Sunday for Sunday Night Live. So anyway, I hope that you guys have a great rest of the evening, a great rest of the week, and we will see you guys back at our next program. Have a good one, guys.